Erik Viker, member of the Selinsgrove Borough Council and the Susquehanna University Theater faculty, is the 2010 Libertarian Party candidate for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in the 85th District. SQV News talked with Mr. Viker about legislative politics and his campaign on August 13, 2010, at his home and campaign headquarters in Selinsgrove.
Well, I'm running for the State House of Representatives because I believe it's time for the people of our state to send representatives to Harrisburg who are themselves citizens, not career politicians, not full-time permanent politicos. The word on the street is very favorable, that this campaign is attractive to people. It is exactly what people say they want. A candidate who isn't connected to the same old party politics, a candidate who can speak for the people, not for some kind of pre-established, well-entrenched political club, and yet a candidate who is prepared through the experience of being a government official already to navigate the complexities of getting the business of the government accomplished. This campaign is about as grassroots as you can get. You're actually sitting in campaign headquarters. My home, my wife's home, is where we are operating our campaign from. It is entirely volunteer. All of our volunteers are people who believe, from both Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, who believe that the messages of a third party becoming that third voice that can turn conflict into conversation, it will be the best way to approach making our government better. The Viker campaign isn't using any Harrisburg political consultants because we believe that that sort of mindset is what got us into this mess. My campaign manager is a volunteer. He's a municipal manager here in the area who helps me with my campaign strategy in his spare time. My deputy campaign manager is a sharp young gentleman who's a admissions counselor for one of the local universities. Between the two of them, one tells me what to do and one tells me what not to do, and I get the wisdom I need to navigate the best way to reach our message out to the people. I currently serve as vice president of Selinsgrove's Borough Council, so that has given me a great deal of experience in what government is and what government does. I think the best thing I've learned as serving on Borough Council is how to build the bridges between different points of view. The Democrats, the Republicans, people who call themselves liberal, people who call themselves conservative. As a third-party candidate and as a third-party public servant, I'm uniquely qualified to help people find that consensus that can stop the distractions and get the work of the people finished. One of the most difficult decisions is how to navigate the amount of community taxpayer funds that should be contributed to what amounts to luxury enhancements in our community. To what extent should a municipal pool managed by a nonprofit private corporation or a regional library managed by a nonprofit private corporation be supported by the taxpayers' dollars? Those decisions are extremely hard because you have valuable recreational opportunities, valuable educational and self-enhancement opportunities provided by that sort of funding. But the question can be, is that what the tax dollars are for? Or do we reduce taxation, put more money in our citizens' pockets, and then let them decide how much they want to contribute to the kind of enhancements that things like libraries and pools and recreation associations can offer? I think everybody can agree that Harrisburg, the legislature, is broken. And it's not the fault of the Republicans, and it's not the fault of the Democrats. It is the fault of the Democrats versus the Republicans. Our problem is that party politics and football team rivalry have started to get in the way of our representatives doing the people's business. We have a grand jury investigation report that documents clearly corruption and mismanagement that can go right back to party politics, the Democrats versus the Republicans. It's time to send somebody to Harrisburg who isn't connected to that broken political machine and can focus instead on what the needs of the people are and the constitutional imperatives of governing wisely. It's not going to be a quick fix solution. It's not going to be an easy answer. We must take a good look at the entire structure of government, decide what should government really be doing, and fund that instead of just taking the money that pours in, oftentimes borrowed money, and spend it on fancy rewards for party loyalty, or spend it on bureaucracies that have existed for so long we don't even know why we really need those people to be pushing forms around desks. We can't say, here's an axe and we're going to start chopping bits off of the government. That's not going to work. We'll just hemorrhage. We have to slowly, gradually, and efficiently rethink the entire way that we not just spend money, but why we're spending money. The budget process in Pennsylvania is in disarray because of party politics. Year before this one, we had a budget that came in 100 days late. Wasn't even a very good budget, and it was late because of infighting between Democrats and Republicans who each wanted what they wanted and wouldn't give up any ground. This year we get a budget that's on time, but depends entirely too heavily on federal money that we actually aren't going to get, up to $850 million worth. So what we need to send down to Harrisburg are people who aren't committed to the club they're a member of and are instead committed to navigating what it takes to fund what the government should be doing. Now this means we also have to look at both big ticket items, like the walking around money, the private little grants that cause people to be rewarded for their loyalty, and the smaller things. Every picture of the governor in every state office, you add those little things up, and before you know it, you've got a nice chunk of change to save in the budget. So we have to send somebody down, or several somebodies down to Harrisburg who aren't connected to the same old political party machine. People are dissatisfied with that. Well, this year you've got a chance to send somebody who doesn't need to keep those parties happy. I'm in complete agreement with the findings of the recent grand jury investigation about walking around money, those little legislative grants or not so little legislative grants that reward loyal lawmakers for pet projects in their districts. I am in absolute agreement with the suggestion that these things need to be removed entirely from the budget. They should no longer be permitted. This is a blatant partisan game-playing scheme to advance the political careers of Democrats and Republicans rather than advance the work of the people of Pennsylvania. Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I know we've heard that. The impact is going to be that jobs will be harder to find, businesses are going to continue to go elsewhere because they're looking at saving the smallest amount of money to make it possible to continue. What we need to do in Harrisburg is reduce corporate taxes, reduce unreasonable corporate business and industry regulations that have nothing to do with keeping people safe, and build an economy and an environment for industry that welcomes productive, healthy, successful businesses back into our greater Susquehanna Valley, because then the jobs will come. Not everybody needs a college degree to be a productive, successful employee, a contributing fellow citizen. Although many industries will be enhanced by some folks who have advanced college degrees, there is some benefit to the government encouraging higher education in the form of perhaps regional community colleges. There's also some benefit to letting higher education enhance in the free market rather than spending tax dollars, rather than spending state infrastructure on a state university system that isn't necessarily being managed as well as it could be. So again, it's a matter of balance. We should invest a reasonable amount of the community's resources in ways that the average citizen can benefit to advance themselves, advance their careers, and yet not to the point where we're starting to dip into a pot of money that's getting increasingly shallow. It's important to remember that because Mr. Fairchild's retiring, the person we send down is going to be a very junior representative. The idea that we're going to go down there and create all kinds of specific goals getting met is a little unrealistic. So rather than say, here are my priorities, and hope to get all three of them done, our best thing to do is to go down there and speak for fiscal conservatism, smaller government, meeting the needs of the people of the district, being the voice of the people of the district, without expecting some kind of miracle to occur.